Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're unpacking a really fascinating mystery in the world of destination development. We're looking at a small island region nestled right between Sweden and Finland, Åland, that somehow cracked the code to extending their tourism seasons and bringing in visitors all year round. But here's the catch. They did it by basically throwing the traditional marketing playbook completely out the window.
To really grasp this, we have to start with a bit of a paradox. It's absolutely crucial to understand what actually makes Åland stand out and what genuinely makes tourists want to travel there. See, they are successfully extending their tourism seasons, but when you look at the standard hotel statistics in the capital city, these new tourists are practically invisible. They just aren't showing up in the expected numbers at all. So, where on earth are they?
Okay, let's dive into this because the answer is actually pretty simple. The reason these tourists are missing from the obvious data is that they specifically choose to stay out in the countryside. They want to be right next to the disc golf courses or the world-class climbing cliffs. I mean, the sources share these incredible personal encounters. We're talking about meeting Swiss climbers who stay for 2 whole weeks just to climb the red granite up in Getabergen and go fishing. Or meeting Englishmen who travel there for an entire week for one single reason, to play as many different disc golf courses as humanly possible.
What we are really looking at here is a massive shift from the traditional tourist to what's called the special interest tourist, or SIT, and they are totally different. While traditional tourists might prioritize city center hotels, vibrant nightlife, and general sightseeing, special interest tourists are highly dedicated enthusiasts. They want a quiet cabin in the woods. Actually, scratch that, they need a quiet cabin near the action, because their entire trip revolves around their specific activity. For them, the destination itself is honestly secondary to the quality of the infrastructure for their hobby. Because these folks completely bypass standard city hotels, you've got to look at unofficial metrics to see their true impact, things like app check-ins or fishing licenses. And wow, the numbers are staggering. We are talking about an estimated 20,000 sport fishers, 7,000 traditional golfers, and roughly 3,500 dedicated bouldering tourists and disc golfers visiting every single year. They're out there, hiding in plain sight, and they're completely driving the local countryside economy.
Åland realized something brilliant very early on regarding these special interest tourists. They figured out that disc golfers, for example, don't just cross an ocean to play a single course. They travel for clusters of them. So, the simple formula became, the more good courses we have, the more nights these tourists will stay while they are already here. It's all about creating a cohesive landscape that maximizes the payoff for the traveler.
So the crucial point is how they actually pulled this off in practice. Traditionally, disc golf courses are built way out in the woods, far from commercial centers, right? Well, Åland flipped this logic entirely on its head. They deliberately placed their new courses right next to existing local restaurants, cafes, and bed and breakfasts. The flow became incredibly seamless. You play a round, eat and drink locally, rest up, and head to the next course. It transformed a simple walk in the woods into a highly comfortable social holiday that directly feeds local businesses.
And hey, this strategy isn't just based on a gut feeling. Academic research from the University of Eastern Finland actually validates this exact behavior. A master's thesis that analyzed the domestic travel of Finnish disc golfers confirmed that these tourists are actively hunting for versatile, well-maintained course clusters. They prioritize the availability of sport infrastructure way above traditional destination attributes, like museums or shopping. They are basically begging for destinations to organize themselves exactly like Åland did.
Which brings us to a major, frankly game-changing paradigm shift in destination marketing. Forget traditional storytelling where you just pay for expensive magazine ads or Facebook campaigns to tell people how great your region is. Åland utilized story building. Story building is totally organic. It means you physically build an experience so incredibly unique and so perfectly tailored to a specific audience that they literally cannot help but tell your story for you.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how you execute story building in the real world. Right in the middle of the 2020 pandemic, they needed a radical idea. In May, the idea is conceived. By June, partnerships are formed. And then in July, they did the unthinkable. They opened 11 disc golf courses in a single day, within just 7 hours, using a rented helicopter to fly from course to course. I mean, imagine being a player on the ground, filming this crazy helicopter landing, and instantly sharing it on social media. It spread like wildfire.
The results of this organic story building were absolutely phenomenal. Get this. In just 18 months from the project's start in July 2020, a staggering 28% of Finland's entire population knew that Åland had suddenly become a premier disc golf destination. That is more than 1 in 4 people. And here is the absolute kicker. They achieved this massive awareness entirely without traditional marketing. No newspaper ads, no paid social media.
It was 100% driven by that crazy helicopter inauguration of those 11 courses and the enthusiasts eagerly spreading the word.
Now, what's really interesting here is the hard financial data that followed this organic boom. Look at the return on investment. The project generated roughly 13,400 overnight stays and injected an estimated 3.9 million euros directly into the Åland GDP. All of that from catering specifically to a niche group of outdoor enthusiasts and giving them an infrastructure that made them want to stay for days at a time. It's just incredible.
But you know, this strategy isn't just limited to disc golf. Let's pivot to bouldering for a second. Åland has these unique, world-class environmental traits: solid red granite, minimal moss because of the harsh sea winds, and perfect natural cracks. It's like an organic story-building goldmine. Without any centralized planning or fancy campaigns, climbers from all over Europe just naturally found it, fell in love with it, and started sharing it all over YouTube and climbing apps. The natural environment itself acts as the initial hook.
Which means this exact blueprint can absolutely be repeated for other sports too, like mountain biking. When you compare it to neighboring islands like Gotland, which boasts around 240 mountain bike trails, Åland is currently a bit behind. But because Åland offers a totally unique combination of verticality, dense archipelago, and sweeping open sea that those other flatter islands just don't have, the potential is massive. By simply applying that clusters next to businesses formula, they could easily trigger the next major special interest tourism boom.
So, we've seen how deeply understanding niche tourists, shifting from paid storytelling to organic story building, and smartly clustering your infrastructure can completely transform a local economy and genuinely extend the seasons. It leaves us with a really critical question to consider for any business or region out there. What is your unique, authentic asset? And more importantly, what is your helicopter effect that will make your audience build the story for you? Definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep exploring.